Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We are here. Welcome to our conversation today. We are going to talk about how to become an effective adult learner of English language. So basically, we're talking about learning skills, skills that make adults effective learners of language. My name is Imran Saifur. I am the academic manager for adult courses. Um, and Rafi, are we live now? Yeah? Okay. All right, that's fine. We're just chit-chatting then.
We weren't live.
Yeah, we are live. We are.
We're
Yeah.
waiting for the audience to join
Yeah,
us.
how are you all?
I'm good.
Yeah? You've had a long day.
I've had a very long day.
Shiva, have you had a long day?
It
I
hasn't finished
actually
yet.
have. Yeah.
My day will finish at 8:30.
Right. Yeah. Actually, it's my weekend.
Oh, there we
Um,
go.
yeah. Yeah, I think we've got some people joining us already. So again, as I was saying, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We are again. We're talking about the title of the session today is how to be, yeah, an effective adult learner. So we're discussing learning skills, skills that make help adults learn English language effectively and efficiently. Again, those who have come and joined just now, my name is Imran Saifur. I am the academic lead for adult courses at the British Council, and I'm joined by a couple of my colleagues. Please introduce yourself, guys.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Sheila Porca, and I'm a teacher at the teaching center.
and I am Sabiha Ashalata, and I'm also a teacher at the British Council Teaching Center.
Right. Thank you for joining. And then both Sabia and Shiva, you were, as you were saying, you're having a busy teaching day. So thank you for making the time and to join me and have this conversation. But I mean, I'm sure you'll agree that what we're talking about, though, is really important, but unfortunately isn't always discussed. It's not one of the more common topics that you hear people talking about.
Right.
So again, we are talking about learning skills because learning itself is a separate skill. So and as you are, we're going to discuss that our courses actually, the way that our curriculum, our courses are built, we take that into account. So I'm going to ask Sabiha first. Okay, Sabiha, what do you think is the most important learning skills for adults who are learning the English
Mhm.
language? And how are these skills nurtured and facilitated, developed on our courses?
Mhm. So I would emphasize on the awareness of the learner's awareness of what they're learning, um, being engaged and involved, and sort of know the direction of their own learning. So, to start with, say if you're looking at an individual lessons, you might want to identify what are the learning, the objectives of a particular lesson, and also be aware of what's the learning outcome. So not only knowing the aim, but also being aware of what are you going to achieve by the end of the lesson. So having that awareness gives you a sense of progress and gives you a sense that yes, I've achieved something, I have learned something, and I can go out and use this in my everyday life. So having that awareness is very, very important because, as I've said, it gives you your sense of achievement, which is important because if you don't have that, you are vaguely doing lots of lessons but not knowing what you have achieved. So having the clear learning outcome, knowing what are the materials that's going to be using, that's going to be used in the lesson, and what you're going to achieve at the end. So that's very important. So when we talk about courses, usually you would have maybe something like an institution choosing or having set courses that you can get yourself enrolled into, um, which do work. It's not that it doesn't work, but you are binded by set learning outcomes. Maybe these learning outcomes are something that you don't need. So you need to identify your own need, and the courses that we have here at the British Council gives you that opportunity. You can choose your lessons, individual lessons, based on the learning outcomes so that they apply to your need. You can choose the time based on your need again. Maybe you're not free during the week. You can choose lessons during the weekend. Maybe you're not free in the morning. You can choose lessons in the evening. You can also choose your teacher. So the only thing that you need to take from us is some credits, say 15 credits, and you can go into our portal and choose the different lessons available. So that gives you the freedom, and the freedom is important because it's about you. It's not about the different courses that's available. Rather, it's about what you need and what will be useful to you when you go out in the real world and you're communicating in English. So having that control, having that knowledge of what I want and how I want to learn and when I want to learn is very, very important. You need to be happy about your learning process.
Yeah.
So if you're not happy, then it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
having the awareness of everything is very, very important.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not only commonsensical, it's research supported. Research says that when learners, adult learners, are aware of what they're learning, when they're in control of it, they make the decisions as well. They actually the learning happens more efficiently, effectively. Thank you for that, and I totally agree. Moving off over to Shiva, what do you think is another very important skill adult learners need to have to be an effective English learner?
Right. So, as a learner, you want to focus on interacting with other people. You want to focus on communication, which is what our classes do. We focus on communicative activities rather than just rote learning. Instead of just learning a lot of grammar and a lot of vocabulary, you want to be able to know how to use the language as you're communicating with other people. When you're having conversations with people, you might know the language, you might have a very good vocabulary, but do you have the fluency? Can you actually, do you get nervous when you're talking? So because our classes are so interactive and communicative, it focuses on interaction, different interaction patterns as well. So there's pair work, there's group work, there's also individual work, depending on your needs and what kind of interaction you prefer. Um, but mainly focusing on getting away from the grammatical structures and learning how to actually use them. Focus on the usage more than learning.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And just to, I'm sure that's what you meant, but just to highlight that, you're not implying that learning vocabulary and grammar is not important.
Oh, of
Of
course
course it
not. No.
is, but it's not simply memorizing. That does not help. But we've got to learn how to use it rather than store it in our memory. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely, I totally agree. Another thing that I personally feel very strongly about, and again, research says probably as equally important, is reflection. Reflecting on your own learning and the progress that you're making. Research says that learning happens while reflecting and and also progress, to be aware of our own progress allows us to sort of control and stay motivated. Sabiha, you've been teaching a lot of general English courses on our My Class online portal. So how is reflection built into our regular course?
So So as we start the class, the first thing that we introduce to the students is the learning outcome, the aim, and then we come back to the same learning outcomes at the end of the lesson, and we sort of allow students to reflect on their own learning on the individual lessons. So at the end you should be able to either individually or maybe as a group, as a class, be able to say, yes, I can do this. Yes, I'm able to, so whatever I have learned in the lesson, I'm able to sort of use the language, I'm able to use the grammatical structure, or I'm able to use the vocabulary in my real life. Or maybe you could say, no, I need a bit more time. But that reflection, we give that opportunity to reflect. So this happens in every lessons. And we have assessment in the middle of the course, which is based on a task. So you actually perform a task, and you can then reflect on how you started off at the beginning of the course and how confident you feel in the middle of the course to actually perform or to do a particular task, a communicative task, as Shiva said. And then you can sort of measure your confidence, you can measure your achievement based
Yeah,
on that.
yeah, yeah. So we've started getting some questions from our audience, but before we go to the questions, very quickly, Shiva, how is reflection built into our IELTS preparation courses?
Right. We've recently introduced teacher-assisted IELTS mock tests, which allows you to reflect on your performance and where you stand right now. You can assess to see if you're ready to take the test or if you want to do some more courses before you want to register for the test.
Yeah, and that as well there to facilitate the reflection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So here's a question from a member of audience. Pawan Barman says, "How can I improve listening?" I think we were going to talk about self-study, autonomous learning, anyway. So, Bihar, would you like to talk about, take that question from Mr. Barman?
Mhm. So I'm just going to go back to what I said at the beginning, that having control of your own learning. So you need to set target for yourself. If you think that that's an area that you want to improve on or you need to improve on, you need to set targets and then identify maybe which particular area of the skill, because listening has different skills. You want to see what kind of questions you find difficult, so identifying that. So again, that will lead you to the aims, what I want to achieve. And then obviously you can choose different resources, you can choose different things that's available to you, whether from the book or different online resources, and then you can of course take those up or maybe take up a course. But it's very important to identify what do I need. Then of course you can work on it.
Mhm.
um, and then
Yeah,
on the other
yeah.
end achieve.
Shiva, is there something you'd like to add to that?
Other than actually studying and doing courses, things that you could do in your daily life is just listen to as many things as you can in English, watch movies, listen to music, talk to people, have conversations with people who speak English.
Mhm.
But incorporate English into your daily life. If you don't use the language and then one day you suddenly decide to listen to something, well, it's going to be really difficult then.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. I think that Sabia, you covered the most sort of structured learning of listening,
Mhm.
and Shia, you highlighted more unstructured but like learning, listening as part of our regular life. And as you said, getting the enjoyment out of it is so crucial.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
There was one more thing that often students talk about, they ask about, is how they can learn on their own, autonomous learning. And the British Council is really big on promoting learner autonomy so that learners can learn on their own. And Shiva, I'm going to go to you first.
Mhm.
What self-study resources are there available for the general public that the British Council produces and controls?
Well, I'll start with IELTS. For IELTS, we've got a wonderful website called takeielts.britishcouncil.org, which is packed full of materials that will help you familiarize yourself with the test. There is a free mock test or a practice test on it that you can take to assess where your score is right now. Take IELTS also has a YouTube channel where you can watch videos with tips and strategies and things like that. I find it's really good if you're preparing for the IELTS test.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely fantastic. And there's also the Take IELTS app, isn't it?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah,
too.
the app's really great too. And then we're almost running out of time. So we had, what about people who are just not only preparing for IELTS, developing English, general development of English? What resources are there available for them?
So the best thing that we have is learnenglish.britishcouncil.org, and it has tons of stuff. So it has everything that you need. If you talk about the skills, the four skills: reading, writing, listening, speaking, and they are divided according to different levels. So if you are somebody at elementary level, you can start with that and then progress as you go along. If you're in the intermediate level, you can start with intermediate. You don't have to do anything from pre-intermediate. Um, and if you don't want to do skills, if you think your area to improve is grammar or vocabulary, there are separate sections for that. But then again, sometimes you might say, okay, I don't want to study. I just want to, have more exposure. So maybe you can watch some videos, some podcasts. So anything that you want, you will find in learnenglish.bishcouncil.org. And the best thing about it, it's free. You just have to log in and you know, start browsing and practicing things from it.
Yeah, yeah, and it is really. I mean, I absolutely love it. The website that we have. I spend a lot of time on it. But as you both you were saying, and the Shiva you highlighted when talking about listening, is that it's got to become a part of our lives. We need to
Yeah.
take, we need to enjoy learning, and there's so much media out there in today's world. There's watching TV shows, Netflix, YouTube, and the internet, and there's just so much out there. So what's important is to engage with the language and take pleasure from it as well. Yeah. Okay. And in general, I think it's important for adults to, as you highlighted as well, is that always be in control, take responsibility for their own learning, and make decisions on when it's convenient for them and so on, so that there are no distractions. Now, the way our courses work, they're absolutely flexible. We've given complete control, as you also pointed out. We've given complete control in terms of when to learn, what to learn, who to learn with, and because of the internet, from where. So, and I mean, there can actually not, there can't be any more flexibility. We've broken down everything down to its elements so that our adult learners can take complete control. And I think that's the key, really.
Yep.
Get involved in making the decisions. Thank you very much, Shiva and Sabiha, for your time. I've really enjoyed this conversation because really, frankly, we don't get to talk about these things often. I
No,
was really happy that we got to talk about this today. And thank you, audience, for joining and for your questions. I hope you found the talk useful. We'll see you again
yep.
another time. Until then, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.